There was a time when celebrity described a person who was celebrated for his or her works, whether those works included acting, singing, or dancing, or a combination of two of those things, or maybe even all three. In Hollywood's golden age, a person who could do all three, act, sing, and dance, was called a triple threat. The day of the triple threat is virtually over. Some would even argue that it's hard to find a celebrity who performs one talent well. That's subjective, but there's another kind of celebrity that we see plenty of today. Celebrities who have no discernible talent at all. People who are just famous for being famous. Maybe they are women who are pretty, or men who are handsome, or people with rich parents, or people married to someone who is famous, or related to someone who is famous. This social media age makes it easy to get one's name on the map. Well, before all of this, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter with their verified check marks that let you know that the person you are interacting with is a celebrity, there were newspapers. And before anyone named Kardashian or Jenner or Hilton or Harvey or LaToya Jackson or Kevin Federline rode the coattails of their family name to stardom, a girl named Kitty Fisher created her own fame and fortune using the newspapers of London's Fleet Street. And she did it by sharing the details of the sexual affairs that she had with wealthy men of the city. And what an amazing fortune she gained from it all. Let's get into it. But first, if you like these videos about the most scandalous people from yesteryear who make Ty's Hot Mess History channel a time capsule for the culture, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know every time that I upload one of these videos or every time that I live stream. And comment "I subscribed" in the comment section so that I can say hello to you. Now, on to why you are here. There are so many people around today who are famous just for being famous. You know who they are, and you probably wouldn't have to think too hard to come up with 5 names who fit into this category. They're not actors, singers, or comedians. Sometimes they are called socialites, or maybe even Instagram models or influencers. They are people who use their money to make an impression on the public. That money might be accompanied by salacious rumors or even sex tapes, anything to get their name in the news or the blogs. The whole idea of this manufactured fame seems like a relatively new phenomenon, but it's not. As far back as the 18th century, the newspapers were just as fascinated with scandalous stories as social media is today. And the more scandalous the stories were, the better. And British newspapers liked to get straight to the heart of the scandals, so they loved to print stories about the most scandalous women, prostitutes. The London writers knew who the prostitutes were, and they frequently used them as sources for their stories. And the more vulgar a prostitute was, the better, for she would have the best stories, and those stories sold newspapers. These days, people make jokes about hoe culture and how hoes are coming up and hoes are staying on top. And even this is nothing new. In the 1700s, the whores whose stories were printed the most also had books published and prints were made of their portraits. Those prints could easily sell by the hundreds or the thousands. And according to several sources, Kitty Fisher was the prostitute who paved the way for the other prostitutes of her age to earn some major side cash that would supplement, and in some instances even surpass, the earnings that they made from selling their cooches. Kitty started prostituting when she was a teenager in the late 1750s. Straight away, she got the attention of a lot of men because she was deemed to be beautiful. It didn't take long for prominent artists on the London scene to take notice of her, and they wanted to paint her portrait, and Kitty let them. Her prints spread throughout the local gentry, or upper class, with the greatest ease. But Kitty was more than just a pretty face and a good time for men willing to pay for her services. She had a natural knack for publicity. So the stories of her affairs with men of means spread as far and wide as her legs. And not only did men want to be with her, women wanted to be her. Women who wanted to get the sexual attention of men would style themselves after Kitty, from the way that she wore her makeup and hair to the way that she dressed. She was a trendsetter. In the 1700s, it was a common practice for high-class hookers to do their own PR. Some were better than others, but it seems that Kitty was the best. She knew how to draw men in with her advertisements by letting them know that she would stimulate their bodies and their minds because she was skilled at conversation. That set her apart from other prostitutes and gave her favor in the eyes of wealthier clients. And it was via those wealthy clients that she rose up through the ranks. As her client list became more upper class, so did she, which was quite a feat at that time in London, a city that looked down on anyone who even tried to social climb. But it worked for Kitty. She used each wealthy client as a stepping stone to get to an even wealthier one, increasing her own wealth with each step. But I suppose that you can't win them all. When the famous Italian lover, Casanova, yes, that Casanova, met Kitty while on holiday in England, he didn't seem to be too impressed by her. This is what he wrote of their encounter. Quote, "The illustrious Kitty Fisher, who was just beginning to be fashionable. She was magnificently dressed, and it is no exaggeration to say that she had on diamonds worth 500,000 francs. Goudard told me that if I liked, I might have her then and there for 10 guineas. I did not care to do so, however, for though charming, she could only speak English, and I like to have all my senses, including that of my hearing, gratified." End quote. And just for the record, in addition to having her stories and advertisements printed in the papers, the other form of media that Kitty was taking advantage of was paintings. Kitty would sit with any artist who wanted to paint her, even rival artists. And in the 1700s, prints of paintings were reproduced in all sizes and sometimes different shapes. This allowed Kitty to have a lot of distributable media to keep her image on the minds of men. She was basically the first pin-up girl. Her image could have been plastered on a wall or hidden away in a snuff box or on the inside of a locket. She was flat out famous, or infamous depending on who you ask. There was a popular nursery rhyme about Kitty stealing the lovers of other prostitutes. And then there was Kitty's very public falling out with Maria Lady Coventry. Now, who the heck was Maria Lady Coventry? She was a countess of London's high society who would throw fabulous balls. Much the opposite of Kitty, who was a hooker and therefore had a different affiliation with balls. Namely Maria's husband's balls. And who was Maria Lady Coventry's husband? George Coventry, the 6th Earl of Coventry. All that really matters about him for the sake of this story is that he was born into money and with a title. So here's how that story goes about Kitty's public spat with his wife. Picture it. London, 1750-something. In the park, Kitty is walking, looking fabulous in one of her custom-made dresses. Lady Coventry sees her, admires her beautiful dress, and asks, "Will you please tell me the name of your dressmaker who made this dress? It is beautiful." To which Kitty replies, "I wish that I could tell you, but I can't, because it was a gift. But I know who you can't ask. The person who gave it to me, Lord Coventry, you know, your husband." To which Maria replied, "Well, I never." To which Kitty replied, "Well, I have, with your husband, over and over and over and over." Now, I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but that really was the gist of it. At some point, the Countess called Kitty an impertinent woman. And Kitty replied something to this effect: "I will have to accept this insult because you are socially superior to me since marrying Lord Coventry, but I will marry a lord one day, just so that I can answer back to you." Well, Kitty may not have come out looking the best in this story, but she made sure that it hit the papers. At the very least, people would know that she was hanging out in the right circles, even if it meant that a countess was talking down to her. Kitty had a way of flipping embarrassing situations to work in her benefit in a positive and profitable way. She became so wealthy from her rich clients and her publicity about them that she was able to totally change her life and her socioeconomic status. She started out as a poor, pretty prostitute, but before her life was over, Kitty was able to spend £12,000 per year. That's equivalent to the purchasing power of over £3 million today in 2022. She was also said to be the first woman born into her low social class who eventually was able to employ liveried servants. And that just means servants in uniform, with each servant having a uniform that is specific for his or her position. Think of Downton Abbey as a reference. And that wealthy husband who Kitty wanted so that she could go back to the Countess and tell her off? She got him. Her rapid rise through the upper echelons of London society put her in the way of John Norris, Member of Parliament for Rye. He married her in 1766 at his family's house, Hempstead, in the village of Benenden in Kent. And it seems like the two could possibly have been using each other. You see, Kitty's wealth was on the way up, and her husband's was on the way down. So, she devoted her life to building up his dilapidated fortunes, all the while getting to be looked at as a more respectable woman, and finally seen as a well-regarded and welcomed member in society. In return, John got the use of Kitty's money and a wife who was young and beautiful. In her time as John Norris's wife, Kitty also became known for her philanthropic efforts and generosity to the needy. They say that it's not about how you start, but how you finish. And it seems like the girl whose job it was to give happy endings ended up living a happy ending for herself, even if that ending seemed to come too soon. Yes, unfortunately, Kitty didn't get to enjoy being a high society woman for too long. Only 4 months after her wedding, she died in March of 1767 at the age of 26. Her exact cause of death is not known, but the 3 suggestions are that she either died of smallpox, consumption, or from the effects of lead-based cosmetics. If the last suggestion is the correct one, that Kitty died from cosmetics poisoning, that would be quite a coincidence, because her adversary from the park, who wanted to know about her dressmaker, the Countess, died the same way. Kitty died at the age of 26, and the Countess died at the age of 27. The lead-based makeup that the ladies were using was called Venetian ceruse, and it was used to make the skin as white as possible, literally the way that we think of clown makeup today. That was fashionable in the 1700s. Possibly the most famous person who most of us know of who used this makeup was Queen Elizabeth I. It seemed to make her beautiful until it started to literally eat away at her skin and cause her to lose hair. By the time that she was in her last days, she had to wear the lead-based poisoning an inch thick just to cover the holes in her face. The same was likely true for Kitty and the Countess in our story. But even though Kitty's beauty regimen is likely what caused her demise, she still went out in true Kitty Fisher fashion, for her last dying wish was to be buried in her best ball gown. And her wish was granted. She was buried on her husband's estate in Benenden Churchyard, which is now the premises of Benenden School, an independent boarding school for girls in Kent, England. There was another prostitute who made a great fortune in her day on this side of the pond in New Orleans, Lulu White. I published a video about her that you can see here. I will also leave a link to it in the description box. My sources for this story are National Trust United Kingdom, historycollection.com, and the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. Are you a content creator, influencer, or blogger who feels like your platform could use an extra boost? Are you thinking about becoming a content creator, but you don't know where to start, and you want to be sure that you dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's? If so, Lailah Lynn can likely show you exactly what you need to get on your way. Her fun new class is called The Business of Blogging with Lailah Lynn, and in it, she is sharing the fundamental principles of blogging in 2022. Because let's face it, social media is a moving target, and what worked well 5 years ago is likely not what works well today. And with Lailah Lynn, you're getting the information from someone who is successful at putting the principles to practice on her own social media platforms, and she literally has the credentials to back it all up, as she holds degrees in social media marketing. Lailah Lynn is a multiple six-figure earner whose first social media marketing course helped this channel go from earning $30 a month to earning 5 figures a month. I'm ready to dig in my heels and learn even more so that I can earn even more. Are you with me? If so, hit my link at the top of the description box and join her class to access this amazing, affordable advice from a woman who knows her business, the business of blogging. Are you suffering from thinning edges, traction alopecia due to tight hairstyles, dry hair, or breakage? If your answer is yes to any of these, then TiwanC Organics has the products you need to bring your hair back to life. They have a long line of quality products ranging from alopecia oil to stress and postpartum hair oil, as well as an anti-thinning organic shampoo and conditioner. TiwanC Organics plant-based products are made with ingredients that are scientifically proven to stop hair loss and promote growth. Visit their website at alopeciahairoil.com and also give them a follow on Instagram at uniqueorganics_hair care. Their links are in my description box. If you want text notifications so that you can get a text a few minutes before I release a new video or before I live stream, text me at 310-634-0865 to let me know, or you can hit my link that's in the description box. If you have a business, product, service, YouTube channel, or social media account that you would like to promote on my channel, email me at tiwan@tisaidwhattisaid.com to get rates for advertising on my community tab, my live streams, and or my edited videos, just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ty Said What Ty Said channel. Please leave a thumbs up and comment so that we can get a discussion going. And share this video on all of your social media, especially your Facebook. That really helps me out a lot. And subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know when my next video is ready for you. And if you don't like what I'm saying, but you love it, feel free to hit that thanks button just below your video screen there and send me some
donations.
Yeah, baby. See you on the next video.